Nemanja, how's everything going, my man?
Everything's going well. I'm just looking at the LinkedIn message and happy that it confirms all the things that I'm doing, that we're talking about. So let me give you a little context. So I added a lady, I don't know, like at the end of July, and on LinkedIn, she's a CTO of a company, and she sent me a message like, I'm interested, I saw what you're doing, I'm interested in the way that you work. Do you accept short-term clients or long-term clients? How does it go? Do you have like a person which is in charge of the account? And those kind of things. I explained everything, and she said, cool, thank you. And I forgot about it. And today she sent me a message, look, like we are looking after somebody to take in charge of the marketing part, possibly somebody to hire, but use that information to pitch on our CEO, because me as a CTO want to work with you.
Right.
So that's like great, especially if a CTO approaches somebody who is like from marketing. Usually you don't want somebody who is CTO on the meeting when you are trying to sell your services. So just like some simple little things that I'm seeing daily that are proving that what we're doing is working.
Yeah, yes, small wins like that can make a big difference. So are they looking for somebody full-time, or do you think they're going to be okay with like hiring an agency?
No idea. I'm gonna check it out, I think.
Yeah, you have nothing to lose.
Yeah.
Awesome. So I saw today we have a lot of questions from that LinkedIn post of yours, right?
Dean, I just wanted to say hi to some of the people that we have here for the first time. So welcome. Good to have you on board, and like happy to answer some of your questions as well at the second part of the session.
Absolutely. Let's get into it. Do you have the questions that people sent over, Nemanja?
Yeah, just a second. There is one that actually the first one that I would like us to chat about. There were a lot of questions, so I think we'll have topics to talk about in the next few episodes. But the first one came from Dan Bassett. It says, can you go into the topic of attribution and best models, less touch, first touch, shared, and so on? So I think that is something that we can jam a little bit about. My idea was to actually explain a little bit what is marketing attribution and like which models we can use, and then like we can get into how we are approaching it and like our overview of it.
That's good. Yep.
Okay, so basically marketing attributions can be defined as a like system of determining which marketing touch points lead to a conversion, or subsequently assigning like a specific like percentage of attribution to each contributing touch point. So as simple as that. So we can see which channel, which medium is contributing to the conversions, and then we can use our budget to amplify those channels that are working the best. So basically, there are like, I think 6 types of marketing attribution models. I know a few which are like the most often one. First one is one-touch attribution models, and usually those are like the first and the last touch, right? The first one is the one that assigns all credits to the first touch point that leads to to, let's say, a prospect to an conversion, which will eventually happen. And basically, I can add an example, like a prospect sees a paid Facebook ad for, let's say, a blog post about, I don't know, 5 things that SEO need to do to leverage LinkedIn, right? Some of the topics that we will talk about. And so they click on the ad, and ultimately they read the blog post. When they finish reading, they subscribe to your newsletter. And like 2-3 weeks after that, they open up like your email for the upcoming, let's say, webinar about something, and then they convert on a webinar. So first touch attribution, if we are measuring that, then Facebook ads gave us that client, that conversion. Second one, last touch attribution, in this same example, it would be a webinar. So the last touch that is leading to a conversion. But those are like for some simple. Okay, we have somebody talking.
No.
And then we have like multi-touch attribution models, which they give credit to each piece of content or channel that a prospect is interacting with when they are like going to their journey to the final conversion. And usually those are the ones that most of the people are using, or they are mixing few of them. So first, multi-touch is linear. When we have basically they assign equal credit to every touch point in a journey. In this specific example, so like Facebook ads, so email marketing, blog or the website, they all have the equal contribution. Another one is time decay attribution, when basically we actually give the most credit to the channels or pieces of content that are at the end or close to the conversion point. So they rises as the time goes, and like we have some others which are like more like custom attributions when we do something custom, and like one that is also common is position-based attribution, which is like attribution, where we have the first touch and the last touch. But to understand everything right, basically we need to compare at least 2 or 3 attribution models, so we can see how it goes through the campaigns, and even that can be like deciding factor for CMO or somebody who is in charge of the marketing budget to see how they will allocate the budget. But if we have like multiple touch points, we have like SEO, advertising, Facebook advertising, PPC, blog, social, all. Then we can add also like offline events, webinars. We have like so many channels, and in that case, or we have like multiple campaigns on one channel as like PPC. We need to get deeper into specific channel, into specific medium, into specific content, and see if something is working or not. Because in one way, if you look overall like the huge picture, something that is like looks like is not bringing the conversions might be something that is performing the best when it comes to brand awareness, and we don't see it if we look it from one model. So that's why we need. It's not that easy, and it's it's a little bit complicated, and I will just share my screen for a second, and then we can jam a little bit about it, because it gives us a great overview. Man, you need to give me share screen option. Yeah, also what I would like to say, that now you have that option, like to measure attribution in a...
Can you try now?
Yeah, it's cool. You can actually measure it in your Google Analytics. So that's cool. Let me just... like this. I found this one, and I think it's interesting, and it's cool that we can take a look at it and just jam a little bit about it. On the left side, you can see like multiple touch point in the organization. So there's a business that has a need for a product. There's an IT influence review. There's a head of IT, let's say like shortlist, and then we have like decision maker. So first touch would measure only things that are like giving us the wider picture, that we actually have a problem, and so it will create like awareness. And this is the part when we start creating the demand. The next one would be like the lead generation part, which can be used as a last touch also. So what is interesting here is that if you go after leads, well, you have like you see where you get those. They are far away from being in a position to buy or have enough to buy. So in most cases, those are like MQLs. So people who are here to get more education, but not to buy. The third one is like where we actually get people, let's say on a webinar, on a demo, somebody who is interested in our services, and then at the end we convert them. What is interesting here on this picture is that you can see that some of the channels are in each stage of the buyer's journey. So like LinkedIn, like your website, like Google, those kind of things are in each part of the buyer's journey. And this is actually what I wanted to say and how we do it. Basically, we use just, I would say, two main attribution channels, and that both of them are organic. One of them is like website, and one of them is LinkedIn. We have like YouTube also, but it's not like something that drives our focus. So most of our leads are coming through LinkedIn. Also, on the other hand, they are coming through organic, mostly because we educate them enough or got them interesting, or they get to know us, so we create a relationship on LinkedIn, and then they reached out to us organically, like going through the Google search and typing my name, on typing the name Funky Marketing, coming to the website and converting, or on the other hand, just reaching out directly on LinkedIn, and that's it. Just wanted to share a little perspective of how it goes for the Funky Marketing. We are not sharing like CTAs, not asking people to come to the website to convert. We have like in our featured section on LinkedIn, contact us page with the thumbnail that says this is where you start growing your business. Usually that's one of the points where it goes, and we just create quality content. The only CTA that we have is come to this B2B Weekly with Marty and me, and just let's talk about different topics, help you, or we help each other mutually solve certain problems, and that's it basically. And what happens when you educate people enough, when your content is good, you just go, you just get, I said, automate the schedule calls, and 90% of the time those are like SQLs or people who are ready to buy your services. Right now, to commit to a long-term cooperation, and people who are not going anywhere else except to you directly, they're not looking to choose between few other agencies. That's just my perspective of it. Marty, you can.
Yeah, so I have a couple questions. First question is, what, if any, technology do you use to track attribution? Because we've used HubSpot for a few clients, HubSpot. So what are you using in terms of tech, if anything at all? Because I don't think that's extremely needed in many cases. And when do you think companies should invest into software that helps track attribution?
Yeah, basically, we are measuring if people are consuming the content, either here on LinkedIn, here on YouTube, when we post like the videos from these events, on the website, if they are consuming the content when it comes to certain pages or when it comes to the blog. I mean, we have a lot of copy on each page. So the first thing I did when we created the website, I installed Hotjar, so I'm following if people are reading the content. Basically, they're going with the mouse, just sentence after sentence, and reading everything. And I can even, because I'm sharing the screen. We can show some of the things. I don't have like the revenue because I don't. Our pricing just go from 800 euros to more than 3,000. So I don't have it here. I could add like an average thing, but I don't need to. So just wanted to show you how does it look like and how you can measure it in G Analytics. Here you can see basically people are coming organic, and we don't do any SEO. So those people who are coming organic are people who are basically coming when they get to know us and learn about what we can offer on LinkedIn, or here on this like podcast or Q&A, however do we call it. Then social and of course like direct. And what you can do here is you can choose the attribution model. So we have data-driven, first click, last click, linear, or position-based. For us, most of them are like the same. What we are measuring is like few things, not many of them. I don't think we need it. We're measuring people coming to contact us page, people who spend more than 3 minutes on the website, who spend more than 5 minutes on the website, and people who are visiting more than 2 pages on the website. So basically, simple goals, nothing much. We just want to see if people are really consuming the content, and you can also measure path length. On the right side, let's say you can say greater than 2 points attribution, and when you do that, you see how this it goes. If people are coming only directly to the website, then you see only direct. If they're coming using multiple attribution channels, then you have more information. You can track also the conversion lag. So basically days to conversion are usually 2. And length to conversion.
When you say conversion, you mean like submitting the form?
Those that I just mentioned. In my case, those are the conversion, but you can set up whatever you think that you need to measure. So basically touch points, and also what you can do. I think this is really good, and you can like compare two models. So just a little overview of that. We don't need actually to measure many things, because we know that our clients are on LinkedIn, so we go all in on LinkedIn, and this is where everything is coming. So we create good content. Through good content, we are going after building the brand. While we are doing that, clients are coming to us, we are converting and growing. That's it.
To what extent do you think marketers, B2B marketers, should focus on attribution? Because we don't focus much on it either.
We're small, right?
We are a small agency. You're right, and there's other things to focus. But like, to what I understand that attribution is important, so that you can decide which channels do you want to amplify and over-index on. But I think there's a lot of things in terms of like where the clients are coming that you cannot gather from an attribution report, whether HubSpot or Google Analytics and all that. Something I often talk about is like dark attribution, right? Like things that you cannot measure, but that are consequential to eventually converting people, right? If my employee looks up your website and then he tells me, and I look up, like that transfer between my employee and me is hard to be measured.
Yeah.
A referral, right? Like you telling me use this or use that. It might look like organic search because you told me, like, for example, you told me the other day to watch like that link to watch NBA games, right? If I was the marketer for that website, it would seem like my going there is organic. So they think that their SEO is killing it, versus what really happened is word of mouth and referral, right? So it's hard to measure a lot of these things.
For some things, you need to just follow the feeling, right? And what I do, I talk to the current and potential clients daily. So I talk to a lot of people, all of them, no matter if they're like marketers, salespeople, CEOs, or they're like business developers. All of them are our potential clients, right? Because they can refer to somebody else, or like we do something that we can also sell to a marketing agencies or some other companies. But so I hear a lot of insights from the clients, basically the one that I told you at the start. A lot of others, how did they find us? Like last week, I heard that I was approached with a potential clients. I think they will be the client like in a day or two. But they told me like they wanted to approach me like 2.5 months ago, but they didn't because they weren't ready for that. They didn't know what do they want from the marketing side, what are their goals. They need to align everything. And now when they did, they approached me directly and, okay, this is something that we want to do. We know what you're doing, just elaborate and let's work together.
Right. I definitely think attribution, because I think I was looking at some of the people commenting on your LinkedIn posts, and a lot of them are marketers. So if as a marketer, I think it's a tool that you need to have in your repertoire. Like you need to understand how attribution works, the models that you mentioned, like that. You have to know the basics. But after that, you cannot be just data driven to make your decisions. Like there's a part that's qualitative and that it's feeling based, right? Intuition as a marketer and talking to different people and learning from where they're coming. And then there's a part that data shows, but the data doesn't show the full picture. And it's something that I see a lot of marketers, especially those that come from like a numbers side, that they get really nerded out on the details and numbers. And then they miss out on that, what you're feeling, what your gut is telling you. And as a marketer, if you're a creative individual, that's probably your biggest strength. So finding the right balance is what I would recommend to marketers.
And some things you can see, let's say we are all on LinkedIn already and talking about it. I mean, you can see when people are tagging other people in your posts, like usually it's the decision makers or somebody who is in charge of that part of the work. When people are sharing your posts, what are their comments when they're sharing it? I mean, it means that you're bringing value. And if they're sharing the post, it means that they started to look at you as somebody who is teaching them something. And those are all like the main points. Then, when you connect with people, do they approach you at all? Are you interesting to them? I mean, people are sending me messages, man, you have like a great name, Funky Marketing. I saw what you're doing. I saw that you're in demand generation. Can you point me to 2 links where I can learn more? Or they are coming with some specific questions. So all kind of different people, and each steps creates like a new relationship. And new relationship is potential leading to a new client.
Yeah, absolutely. I just wanted to give the counterpart, right? Like you've explained the attribution, and yes, it's super important, but don't let attribution be your Bible, right? Like there's more to it than just what HubSpot's telling you. And if you're a good marketer and you're talking to salespeople and you're talking to clients and prospects, you'll get the right picture of where people are coming and what channels are working versus what need to be improved. And yeah, Funky Marketing is a great name. The most important question on today's episode is how can we get one of those t-shirts, man?
Yeah, I did like 25 of them, and they all got sold very fast. Even people ask me, do we have more? So I think I need to get a few more. Now that we have actually a logo, this one happened like 2.5 year and a half ago when I was working in another company. So I just printed t-shirts for everybody working there. I give them Funky Marketing t-shirts.
We have a question here on the chat that if you want, we can jump into it right now.
Yeah, let's jump.
Because you really touched on it before.
Maybe she can come and ask the question directly in the video.
Sure. Marianne, do you want to come in and ask the question? Don't be shy.
Yeah, hello everybody.
Hey, how are you?
Hey.
Hi. Well, interestingly enough, Nemanja knew that I wasn't a male. Okay. Yeah, I'm into this webinar business. I've done some free promotional stuff, webinars on topics that I'm actually not dealing with, but I like to delve into certain things and like to research. And then I gave a talk on women in Adria. You may know maybe about this channel for business women, which was pretty great. This was my first time that I had the opportunity to present something to a few unknown people there. They signed up. One prerequisite was, of course, to sign up on the Webinar Jam. Webinar Jam, I think, is a very good tool because you can get, the email addresses. First, they were pretty reserved. The organizer of in the Women in Adria said that she wouldn't like to condition being part of the webinar with email address to share email addresses of the people. But then, okay, she conceded, and I got these email addresses, which I also used to used it to target again for the next webinars, which were not on that topic, but okay. I'm doing on LinkedIn, more or less LinkedIn profiles. So the issue is I got good reactions to my first webinar on that, but I tried to do the next one. This was a paid one, of course, and then you filter them out. You actually see that people are really unwilling to make that well, it's not a sacrifice actually. You have to invest in education very much, but maybe they do not see any benefits of it. I don't know. So how to do it? Maybe I should prolong this path to payment.
So the question is,
how can I make, not make them, how can I construct this buyer? Is it buyer? How do you call it in marketing? It's a buyer's journey.
Buyer's journey.
Yeah.
I understand what you want to do. Marty, maybe you want to go first.
Yeah, so just to get clear on the question, it's you did a webinar for free and it went well, and now you're trying to do another one paid, right?
Yes.
And then I'm guessing the number of invites of people coming to the webinar has gone down, or it's zero, and you're asking how do we make a webinar paid as successful as the first one. Is that correct?
Yes. Okay. I'm not expecting to be as successful as the first, maybe half of them to come, or even a third. So it's not up to 100%, but
right. No, we get it. Yeah. So just to give you some thoughts without knowing as much about the webinar and all that, but there's a couple of reasons I think why people wouldn't pay for your webinar. I think one, they're the wrong people, right? The target audience that you went for is not willing to invest in education, or doesn't have the income to invest in it. So you need to look for a different target audience that has more resources to get paid. That works for whether it's a webinar or a client. We found the same thing. So one, I would audit the target audience and make sure that they're the right fit for what you're selling, and that they can invest in it. The second thing, at that price point that you have set, which I'm not sure of, the second reason I think can be the other possibility is that they don't see the value in joining, right? So that's the problem about marketing beforehand and providing value before the webinar that might have not been done to the extent where they're so convinced that you can help them more that they are willing to invest. So usually the two problems that I see when people don't buy something, whether it's a webinar or they don't want to sign for us as a client, it's they're the wrong people, or two, we haven't done a good job from a marketing standpoint before, because they don't see the value in what we're selling. So for us, it's usually been one of those two reasons, and it's a matter of auditing which one it really is. What do you think, Nemanja?
I think we need to change completely the perspective. First of all, webinars shouldn't be paid at all. They are not like the products.
Why?
They're just something that gets people to the point where you get to sell them something. A video course can be a product, or series of videos can be a product. Webinar has a point of actually getting interested people in one place and educating them about something. Usually how it goes at the end of the webinar, people are trying to get them to sign up to something, to get them to buy something. That's how usually goes. And not usually, but most of the webinars sucks just because of that. Why? Because people who are coming to the paid webinar, they know that you will try to sell them something else. Or if you are creating the webinar around promoting your product, they know that you will try to sell them something. How you can do it differently is doing something that Marty and me are doing right now. And it is getting people to a call or session or podcast, however do we call it, and giving them value with no hesitation. So week by week, people are coming here because they know that we are not trying to sell them anything. We are not going to follow up with an offer, as people do when it comes to the webinars. We are not going to trying to nurture you to buy something. It's not going to happen. We are just creating value, getting the right information to you so you can solve your problem, and people are appreciating that. And when you get enough education, then you know who you will approach. So Marti is doing working on personal brands for the SEOs, CEOs, doing content, doing some great stuff. You know, you will approach to him when you have a need for those kind of services. I'm doing something else. You will approach me when you need some other services. Also, if you approach us and you need something that we are not doing, we are not going to try to sell you on that services too. We're going to direct you to somebody who we think is reliable and has the knowledge to help you solve the problem. That's how I see it. We need to change the perspective of how we look at things. I've been in performance marketing for many years. My boss at that time was somebody who has done more than 2,000 webinars in his life. He's the guy who did the most webinars, I think, not in Serbia, but wider. And this is how he built his brand. This is how people know him. Dimitri, a guy who is doing like webinars or helping other people organize webinars. And so basically, that's it. Just use the webinar to educate people, not trying to sell them something or not try to sell the webinar. Webinar can be a good introduction in your case if you want to create like a series of video education. So let's say 5 video education serial. So you create a webinar where you explain what do you want to do. You explain the problem. You explain why did you decide to tackle that problem, why this is something that people need to invest to, and then like try to explain them how does it goes, and then just try step by step to get them to that point.
Because Marian, quick question: do you sell them anything on the paid webinar? Like, is there like a service or another product that you're selling?
Well, the introductory bit was mostly it was also 1 hour long, and on webinar you can go for 2 hours webinar jam, and in this introductory part I show them actually the benefits and how important it is to optimize their LinkedIn profile. I talked about writing. I showed them some cases, how not to do it, how to do it in English mostly, and then in 2 weeks I did this call for the next webinar where we show this would be a workshop where we would be about 3 or 4 people in one webinar where we will come up with a profile in English and the first post which will engage, in which we should try to interact with the people on LinkedIn. And there were people who wanted this, but mainly these are foreigners. No one in Croatia, of course. In Croatia, I mean, foreigners. There was a lady who wanted to. He was very interested, but then disappeared in a way. So disappeared, and there were people who were interested, but they maybe get the point that they can do it alone. But first of all, they also have to be linguistically also very apt, because not many of them have good English there, and of course they must be led in a way. So this workshop has outcomes. It has outcomes, and it is a good starting point, of course.
Yeah.
And they will see a value for the money, of course.
Look, I disagree a little bit with Nemanja here. I think if, call it webinar, call it workshop, whatever you're doing, if there's a lot of value there and you believe in that wholeheartedly, like, go ahead and sell it. Now the market's going to tell you if they believe that there's value for that price or not. Right now, it seems like they're telling you that there isn't. I'm not saying it's not working, but one, I'm saying I do think it can be paid. And second, it seems like there's a marketing problem before the webinar that it's not bringing people enough value to consider taking the step to paid. So I'd say I think I'd regroup a little bit, look at the audience that came in for the first webinar, look how you transition to the paid one, and see what can you do to provide more value beforehand that people are willing to invest in their education. But webinars can be paid, in my opinion. I don't think you need to go
in this specific case, basically you invited people who came to the free webinar to come to the paid webinar. I think that is the main difference.
Yeah.
Yes, but Nemanja, I think do you know Janja Jovanovic?
Yeah.
Well, she is doing paid webinars on almost the same subject and for the price which is 5 times more than mine. And
Janja has a brand.
Right. Yeah, that's what we're saying on the marketing beforehand, I think.
Yeah.
I think that's what we're coming around to.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Okay. Let's move on. Maybe Marti, is your chance to tell us a little bit about how CEOs can leverage LinkedIn. What are the main things that they need to do? Because I see this question a lot on LinkedIn. Like every second day, I see somebody asking this question.
Yeah, it's a good question, but I think we've mostly touched on the main principles behind it. Because the main principles work on LinkedIn, on Twitter, on any social media platform, and any type of marketing, which is focused on building the brand. I was asked yesterday, what should we do to assign high-paying clients? And they were asking me about like outreach. The real question was about outreach strategies and like tips and tricks to sign high-paying clients from LinkedIn, which obviously is at the end of the day what we all want to do, right? Like bring in revenue for our companies. Whether you're a CEO or you're a marketer, that's how we use this social media platform. But I don't think the solution is on outreach, automated strategies, or having a virtual assistant going in and sending 1,000 messages per day. I think it goes back to the core principles that we've touched on, not just today, but over the last 10 or 11 B2B weeklies that we've done, right? It's how do you build a brand, whether it's a personal or a company brand, and independently on what social media, how do you build a brand that people trust, that people see the value in, and that people want to approach to help solve their issues? I always talk about LinkedIn as a 24/7 business conference that's even now more than ever, right? Like with COVID-19 and people working from home, there's no more conferences, there's no more events, there's no more, hey, can we chat for 15 minutes over coffee? It doesn't matter whether you live in New York, in San Francisco, I'm in Barcelona, there's people here in Croatia, you're in Serbia. It doesn't matter where you are. It's a business conference that's open for everybody, and that you can decide whether to be a speaker or you can be one of the guys sitting in the back looking at their notes and not caring about what's going on and not building any relationships. I was reading the other day that only 2% of users on LinkedIn create content. So that means that 98% of people invited to this business conference are sitting and looking for content. Those are the people that you're going to sign. The 2% of people who decide to invest in creating content, whether they're hiring an agency like we are, or like you guys also, I'm sure you guys do, or they're doing it themselves. That's how you take the stand and how you start speaking to this business conference and sharing your expertise, your value, your lessons, and your success stories. Through content, you build a brand, and that brand is what eventually drives inbound opportunities, what makes people reach out to you, what creates referral partnerships, what creates networking events, right? Like what we're doing right now. We met through LinkedIn, through engaging and through content creation. So I could give 5 or 6 or 7 or 50 tips on how to do that. but the main core values are focus on building a brand, create content to do that, actually share value that move conversations forward and helps your target audience, and let that compound over time, so that when you've done that consistently for a few months or even years, you're now creating a source of inbound revenue that can totally change your business if you're a CEO, or it can totally change your career if you're a marketer. Like, it's not just bringing clients. If you're a marketer and start building your personal brand on LinkedIn, maybe 2 years from now, you get an offer for a new job that's your dream job with a much higher paying salary because of somebody who saw your LinkedIn post 2 weeks ago. So it's really important to understand what the circumstances are. But this is something that whether you're an employee, whether you're a CEO, or whether you're a company brand, the main values apply to all of them.
Sounds good. I agree with 100%.
It's just easier than people make it look. Like, executing is complicated, but the strategy is simple.
Yeah,
you know?
yeah, that's it. I mean, it's easy to do the execution when it comes to outreach, because you are going generic, you are going wide, and you cannot go like personal. When you build a brand, I mean, it needs time. You need to hammer that daily.
Yeah, you have to tell your story every single day. You have to create content every single day. And then there's certain tips and tricks, right? Like what we're doing right now, it's a webinar podcast kind of thing that we're going to repurpose into content to save us time. So there's ways to speed up and make that process easy. But if you don't believe in the core values and the core principles, then you're fucked, because nothing else is going to work.
Yeah. I think we can continue with one more question. It adds to the conversation. Eric Davidek, I think, if I am pronouncing it right, said, "I'd love to hear your thoughts on setting expectations for sales cycle time frame. I'm selling complex SaaS services to enterprise level clients, but my management is pushing for quick conversions." So that's an interesting one, and it kind of adds additional layer to what we were talking about. So about going into content, creating a brand, creating a demand. Sometimes you need to amplify those things and get the content distribution to the right people and fasten up the consumption of the content. And in my case, what do? We usually ask people, clients on a sales calls, how long does their sales cycle last? Some of them know the data, some of them don't. It all depends how complex is the service, how complex is the onboarding. A lot of things go into the equation. And let's say if the sales cycle is a month, which in this case is 100% longer, but I'll just use it as an example. For what we do to work, for the content inbound to work, usually takes twice as long. Because when you sell something, when somebody new comes as a salesperson, they have like at least like 3 months to start selling something, to get to the first sale. When it comes to marketing, they don't usually give us that leverage, but it takes actually twice as long. So what do? We use Facebook ads, Instagram ads to get the right content to the right people faster. So using researches, case studies, short articles in the form of the news, when we are going directly to the point, consumable in up to like 3 minutes. And we get the right content to the right people. That's how we fasten up the consumption and the education of the people. One other thing that also goes into that is what Marty mentioned, just in a different way. Like, you can always invite CEOs, decision makers, or somebody who's going to use your product on a podcast, in an interview, on a virtual coffee. Ask them all the questions that you need so you can sell them your product. Get them through each stage of the buyer's journey on the call, make them talk about it. Then when you're done, they will feel obliged to share it because they're talking about themselves, right? Then other people from the company will see it. Then you will cut it in at least 5 pieces of content that are targeting different stages in a buyer's journey. And you're going to use some of them on your personal profile. You're going to use pieces of content where they are talking on your company page, and also you're going to share with them these 5 or 6 pieces so they can use them on their profile. And this is how you shorten up the sales cycle, and you get to the sale faster than it usually goes.
That makes a lot of sense. The thing is, I think the question was about managing expectations with the manager, right? So that makes sense in terms of like how do you speed the sales process, which I totally agree. And I do think that especially paid ads can be like the fire that the fuel that makes the fire burn faster. But in terms of setting expectations with managers, I think that's a bit more complicated. A different question. You've worked inside a company before. I haven't. So I'm not that sure of how to manage this office politics, but would love to hear your thoughts on that as well.
Yeah, there are a few ways in which you can deal with that. Actually, how I'm dealing with that. First one is you can try to explain how things are using facts, bringing actually solutions, and you need to approach it from their perspective, so they can understand it. Because a lot of times marketing is hard to understand. It might seem simple, but it's not, and often is counterintuitive. So some things that we think are working this way aren't working, and it's hard to explain. I mean, like 2 months ago, we were like white labeling for a UK broadband company, and the CEO was somebody who is an engineer who knows everything about broadband, about technology, about in that context. And it took like 2 months for us to explain to him, at least get close to explaining how Google ads are working, how SEO is working, how Facebook ads are working, and it's hard, and it gets a lot of energy, and but sometimes you need to do it. You need to get deep into it and try to explain what you can do. You can do something on the side as an experiment, a little experiment, and actually come with results. If the results are great for what you want to get, you can use that to kind of show, like, I did this on the side, and it gave great results. Why don't we try the same on the larger scale and see if it gets us somewhere? Those are the things that can work. In other cases, you need to know when you need to quit. If expectations are not lowering, even though you are trying to explain, even doing something on your hand outside of everything that you are doing for the company, just to get the results that you can bring in and explain, then at some point you just need to say, okay, this is not the company I want to be in. I cannot get along with this guy, with decision maker. He has some other goals, some other views on certain things, and if you don't do that, you will just get like burned out trying to go by somebody else's unrealistic expectations.
Yeah, it's tough because, I mean, this doesn't really make much sense to me, because if he's working there and the sales cycle so far has been like 6 months, like I understand the idea to reduce it, which is what we answered first, right? A lot of content, a lot of education, and getting people inbound. But it's hard to understand how somebody's expectations can be so apart from what's been working for the company for the last whatever long company has been in, that this guy has to manage a way to manage his expectations. So yeah, it's complicated. I think education.
Sorry, I just saw that there is. He added also something to that. Some context. He said we're also in a middle of a rebrand, a website rebuild, and have 0 supporting sales materials.
Yeah, I think it just looks like a whole mess, to be honest.
Yeah.
It looks like it's not his fault and he's doing what he can. Like, if you're doing through rebranding, you probably should not even be marketing, because you don't know what you're marketing. And if you don't have any sales materials, it's going to be hard to educate your clients. So, I don't know. Try to get out, I'm guessing, is my advice. Or wait it out and see what happens. But yeah, it looks like a firehouse right now.
Yeah, cool. I think that's it for like LinkedIn questions. If somebody here on a call has a question, maybe we can answer that.
Either now or next week. But awesome. It was a pleasure, like always, Nemanja, talking to you.
Yeah, same. Also, I want to say something like we're working on getting the materials and to start posting this as an audio format. So as a podcast, I think that will be live in like from now up to 2 weeks. It all depends. It can be like in 5 days. It can be in up to 2 weeks. I don't want to give like false promises, but we're going to do that, and it's going to be all around on every
streaming platforms.
All streaming platforms, yeah. Those are the words I was looking for. Thanks everyone for being here. The video will be live on YouTube, I think, on Monday evening, if Marti sends.
Probably Tuesday.
Yeah.
Awesome.
So that's it. I think it was great chatting about different topics. We have topics for the other episodes too. Some of them are complex, some of them aren't, and I think it's just gonna go upstream from here.
Awesome. Thank you guys for joining. We'll see you next week, Wednesday, 6 p.m. Bye.
Bye.